Tua Tagovailoa's extension. Oh boy. Chris Greer done put his foot in his mouth. Chris Greer been talking about Tua and his extension. We all know from the surface of it, nothing's changed. We want Tua to be here long term. We want to sign him on a long-term contract, playing at a high level. Let me tell you, Chris Greer's a very shrewd operator with his words. I remember when he did say, I'll never forget, because I was at Disney with my family when the news broke, when he had his press conference with Mike McDaniel, and he said, we want to keep Tua here long term, playing at a high level. So everybody was like, yeah, we doing the extension. Yeah, I'm sure we are too. But when he says things like, we want him here long-term under contract, playing at a high level, when you throw in playing at a high level, that means, hey, there's still something I want to see. You could have just straight up said, hey, we want him here long-term. We're trying to get this deal done. But just to throw in there, we want him here long-term, playing at a high level for a really long time. That tells me, listen, there's a little pushback in that. Okay, there's a little bit of I still need to see some stuff, but he's in a tough situation because Chris Greer, he needs to extend Tua to get some cap room. But when you listen to his press conference yesterday, boy, oh boy, this ain't got nothing to do with the cap space, y'all. This doesn't have anything to do with the cap space. Chris Greer said, I'll be talking to Tua's agent at the combine. We're hopeful, a conference. We're going to have conversations, we want to negotiate, blah, blah, blah. Basically, the conclusion of it all, ladies and gentlemen, he said out of his own mouth, these big contracts, they could take some time. It could be in the summer. It could be, right before the season starts, training camp or whatever. What? Because, ladies and gentlemen, you got to get under the cap by the 13th. You got 13 days after today. You have to be in a positive on the cap by the 13th. So Tua, if they do an extension on Tua, it will have nothing to do with trying to save money. It will solely be, we want to give you a deal to keep you straight up here long term, not just because we want to save money. But that leads me to believe Chris Greer is going to go do his Chris Greer stuff. Chris Greer going to lowball. Chris Greer going to put on the table, here's what we're willing to offer. He going to slide it over. The agent's going to be like, ooh, let me flip over this $55 million. Agent going to flip it over and be like, 43 a year. What you mean? What you mean 43 a year? Well, we feel that's fair. First 2 years he wasn't, we went out and got him everything around him in order to afford all that stuff around him. We can't be able to afford him at 55. We're trying to keep weapons so that he can stay, continue to play well. 43, man. I mean, look at the salary cap going up, Greer. I mean, he had worth at least 55. $55 million set in the market is for quarterbacks that win MVP awards, quarterbacks that, win playoff games, at least have showed us they can win a playoff game. Yeah, but he was a Pro Bowler, but Mac Jones was a Pro Bowler before. I mean, I don't worry about that stuff. I mean, did he get all pro? Then we any information you want to bring to the table where I can adjust this number? Any all pros? Well, he was the passing leader. He was the passing leader. Yeah, man. Jameis Winston was the passing leader before. I mean, come on, man. Give me something to help me out here. I think this is a fair amount, 43. I think that's where we're operating from. And they'll negotiate from there. The agent be like, come on, at least 52. Unless guarantees. And Chris Greer's like, 2 years of guarantee? No, we need at least 3. Oh, no. You talking crazy then. Going into 3 years at a higher number, if we're talking 2 years guarantee, I'll bite the bullet and give him a little bit more money. I just need to be able to have an eye out just in case. And it goes back and forth. 53. Well, okay. Here you go. Final offer, 45. 45. Come on now. Let me bring it back to Tua and let's see. And the agent goes to Tua and he said, hey, Greer said 45, man. And Tua says, he can't talk to people that way. Oh, man. Hey, listen, man. They about to negotiate. When it's all said and done, who's going to blink first? Is Chris Grier going to have a 5 in front of that number? He might have to in order to sign him long term. Chris Grier might cave. He might have to cave in for over $50 million. Or if Chris Grier hold his guns, will Tua accept less on a longer term deal? That's what's about to go down, ladies and gentlemen, because this could take some time. The reason why it could take some time is because Chris Grier never wrote a contract this big, by the way. Think about it. Even if you gave him $40 million a year, Chris Grier never wrote a contract that big. You could have gave him $30 million a year. I don't think Chris Grier ever wrote a contract that big. So I don't know, man. I don't know what's about to go down. But they're gonna negotiate. And if Tua doesn't want to take whatever Chris Grier settles with, but Chris Grier might cave, though. I'm not sitting here saying Chris Grier may not cave, but I'm going to tell you why Chris Grier may not cave, and we'll talk about that when we get to Robert Hunt's situation, which we'll talk about next, okay? But we'll see how this works out, because I'm going to be honest with you. If they can't agree and they can't reach a deal, it looks like Tua might be playing on his 5th-year option. But I think they'll get something done. But Chris Grier could be trying to force him to play on his 5th-year option. Chris Grier could be trying to play coy and be like, in good faith, I'm showing you we want you. I'm offering you 43. He could be playing around just knowing they won't accept it. Chris Grier could possibly be going right at that number he know they won't accept, and then forcing them to do it or making them play the 5th year. And saying, if he plays his 5th year and he wins Super Bowl, if he plays his 5th year, he wins a playoff game, win a division, continues to be one of the leader in some of the stats, and he has a few more accolades, I'll make him the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. But until then, this is what I got to offer, because this is what I feel the value is. This is more money than, So I think that's how this is going to go down, unless Chris Grier caves in. So it's going to be negotiations for months. And on the backside of those negotiations, Chris Grier might say, you're going to play the 5th year. But it could get nasty. It could get real nasty if we go through the negotiations and all of a sudden in training camp, Tua sitting out. It could get nasty. But that's why Chris Grier is between a rock and a hard place, because in the draft, this is why he better go get his insurance to push the issue and to have a backup cheaper than the one you got now. This is why I'm telling y'all it's worth a 2nd-round pick going ahead and finding a quarterback that you view can be the future potentially if it works out. And it's just insurance. And it's a trade asset just in case. It's just insurance. That's it. It's just insurance, all right? So I'll keep you guys up to date on this contract negotiations with Tua Tagovailoa and his team and Chris Grier. It's about to get very interesting, but hey, I like the way it's starting, because you don't just give up all that money. You don't just recklessly pay high money and set this franchise back for several years. Okay? So that's the latest on the Tua contract extension. I'll give you more as it comes in, all right?